There are many wonderful things we have to say, and we are going to try to say them uninhibited in a way there are certain rules when it comes to messages, and we wanted to elaborate on them, and it may help clear up some of the confusion regarding channeling or even psychic work, tarot reading. Some of this will not surprise anyone. Maybe it has been said before and recorded, and you have heard it or seen it in the past. But there are limits to what we are allowed to say as a means of not affecting any one or group of peoples or persons' future. Therefore, commenting on the future is generally not allowed. And even if we were to comment on someone's future or people's future, it would be one, irresponsible, and two, very difficult to convey. This is very difficult to convey, I guess. There are rules that we all agree to, whether we are becoming physical or not, staying behind or becoming physical. And those rules include physical limitations that you all agree to. The big one for Saul is the ability to fly, not on an airplane or in a helicopter. Of course, he has dreams of jump flying, jump floating more, where he leaps and is able to drift and is most pleasant. And many of you have these dreams. Many might even have dreams of flying. And the reason why you can't is that you agreed not to at this time. And yes, those agreements can be changed in the future. But unfortunately, they won't be changed anytime soon. And see, even saying that, what is the definition of anytime soon? It could be days, months of your time, a year from now. Relative to us, on this side. So there are rules. One of the other rules, as I have mentioned, is not informing any single person of their future. And maybe you are familiar with this if you have ever gone to see a psychic or had tarot cards read or your horoscope. Some are better than others, but we can assure you they're not getting the information from this side as much as they feel or have gone through some kind of training in how to deal with the cards, for example, how to read a horoscope, or maybe they're channeling a being who they think is good at telling the future. But they're not supposed to. The reason for that is along the lines of, if you are playing a game, for example, even chess, it is one thing for you to anticipate the move of your opponent and trying to figure that out. That's the beauty of the game in a way. But if you didn't have that faculty, and instead were told what their next move would be, it might be interesting the first few times you play. You might get addicted to it. You might start to win championships and money or something. But it would not be so fulfilling. Eventually you would get bored and stop playing the game. To know in advance what's going to happen to any one of you, or to you as a group or a country or a planet, is like that. And it can be interesting for a while. But then it becomes boring. And then also as a side effect, you can become addicted to knowing and try and warn others. And then you can run into a Cassandra effect and become extremely frustrated and spiral downward into helplessness or a feeling of helplessness. Anyway, it is one of the rules. One of the side effects of these rules in channeling, communicating with you, is that it hamstrings our messages to a degree. And all these channelers, it seems to be that they are offering words of encouragement, what you could be as a people instead of the current state, and that if you just remembered where you came from, all of you, that life would be so much easier. But that is the game. There are rules. Sorry, but you agreed to them before you were born. Maybe that helps explain a few things. And maybe you say, well, why can't we all channel? You can. That is not a rule. There's no restrictions on who can channel and not. It might be best if you could, or gave it a try. But for those who do, at first it can be unnerving. What the hell is happening? Am I crazy? I don't feel crazy. We tend to not communicate with those who are facing personal challenges of a mental nature because they have enough challenges as it is. But we might quietly communicate with those close to them who are trying to help them in their challenges. Still, there are no restrictions to who may channel. But there have been many frustrations, of course, that channelers have to deal with regarding this spooky and weird, and thankfully a little bit more allowed or acceptable form of communication with non-physical entities, as Saul calls them. At least it's a slight bit less damn them to death by fire or drowning or hanging nowadays. Frustrations as to once any channeler accepts that they are doing it, why can't they do more? Of course they can do more, meaning other abilities which Saul has experienced, but hasn't taken and said, I am strictly this or that. But there are frustrations as to why can't I fly? Or why can't I move objects with my mind? Or why can't I anticipate that car hitting that human? Or worse. Those are the rules. And the frustrations are understood. And he's getting a little bit more comfortable with giving up on repeating these frustrations to us. doesn't pain us if people stop channeling or take a break, or once they start, go, this is ruining my relationships with my current people, family, friends, community. We have many ways to communicate with you, as I said, more prevalent and acceptable now than ever since ancient times. But we are only here to help, assist, reassure, and remind. That you are playing a beautiful game that you signed up for before you were born. And we hope that these communications will continue on a semi-regular basis, because it is not only an enjoyable experience for us on this side, and hopefully an enjoyable experience for Saul and you, the viewer, but just the flow, not of words so much as the connection itself. Allows for a more positive energy to flow through. That is one of the things we wanted to get across today. And if you were in Saul's socks, since he is not wearing shoes at the moment, you would feel a serenity that he has felt before. And which we have referred to as the love energy field. And we may comment on that later. He likes it better to mainly have his eyes closed, because when he has them open, then we start to look around. So it is kind of strange that he has always wondered, why does he channel with his eyes open? And most of the channelers he's seen online have their eyes closed, except for one main one that he's seen. thought maybe he's doing it wrong. He can't possibly be channeling with his eyes open. But now he knows. We are here. We have, with his permission, accessed his vocal cords and his eyes and his ears and his whole being. He is not possessed. He has full control. And he does let us drive the car every now and then, but he doesn't take his hands off the wheel, we can assure you. And we have helped. He does not speed. He doesn't speed too much. He is not a leadfoot. But he knows. We have given him feelings of when the authorities are searching for speeders. Not that they would ever pull him over. In a way, he is protected. But he is the light of the world, and that is an extremely tough title for him to still swallow after all these years. And he would so much like us to pontificate on why we call him that. And he keeps wondering and wanting to ask people, who was the light of the world in the Bible? One friend told him it was Lucifer. And now Saul thinks, well, not now. But for a while there, he was wondering if he was Lucifer incarnate in a human form. It fit because at the time he started meditating, before we started referring to him as the light of the world. His friends and co-workers and bosses nicknamed him Satan. So as you can see, there was a bit of a snowballing with that one. And we come back around to not letting you know your future. But you can know your past. And that has been documented pretty well in the records of the Akash, or the Akashic records. The infinite library of all that has been. It's such a beautiful library. Anyway. The light of the world. Angels we have heard on high. Are there angels? Are there angels in physical form? Many people would think, if they knew Saul in the past, the recent past, even. The hen turning out to be an angel in human form would be extremely laughable. But he has made many people laugh. We are restricted from saying anything about the future. And of course, if put on trial, Saul's angelic sounding title would be met with evidence of not being what most people call angelic behavior wise. So we'll just leave it for now as a vague yet specific title of the light of the world. And we'll let you all figure out what that means in the meantime. Don't play the game if you don't like the rules.